All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sooner Surge. Today we got a special guest joining us. You can listen to him on the franchise every morning, 6 to 10, and obviously his stuff on Soonerscoop.com. It's the legendary Eddie Radosevich, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited. Is school out today? Are we cutting class? What's going on here?
They
We
actually
are.
cut class.
I'm sick.
I like it.
I'm
I
sick.
like it.
Only for you,
I
Eddie.
like it. Yeah,
Only
no,
for
Yeah,
you.
I'm
Sick.
quote unquote sick.
good.
So,
Make sure
so
the
Eddie,
teachers
these
know.
guys are obviously they're start. These guys are going to be going to OU in the next year, and then some of them the year after, and they're going to be pursuing their careers in journalism. So, just kind of wanted to hear
Cool.
your story of how you got started in journalism at OU.
Yeah, it's kind of what I always wanted to do. I started basically like my first job in I guess journalism would have been working for Rivals.com, and back then it was kind of one of those things, especially with high school recruiting, where people wanted the daily updates or the weekly updates on where guys were visiting, what they thought about schools and things like that. So I basically pestered and badgered a guy named Jeremy Crabtree for about a month and a half every day, persistently emailing him, basically like, hey, if there's anything I can do, let me know. And finally, he would start, eventually started sending me numbers of guys to call, and I would call them late at night. Most of the guys were out on the West Coast, so I could get done with schoolwork and things like that. And basically would call them, do high school recruiting updates. And, that was kind of the beginning of how I really got into it. And then one thing led to another, and I started working for Soonerscoop.com but towards the end of my college career. But, and obviously got involved with Gaylord College, the broadcast journalism stuff at Oklahoma, which is kind of all connected as far as like meeting Carrie Murdoch, who hired me at Soonerscoop. So it really kind of started like that. Did a little bit in high school as far as coverage goes, writing for the school paper, but didn't really have any like true schooling, I guess, on where to go or what to do. But that was kind of the intro, I guess, into the journalism world, which I guess I've now been living in for nearly 10 years.
Yeah, Eddie. So, as they said, some of us are planning on going to OU. If you had to give some advice to us, what would be some advice that you would have for us?
I mean, I think probably the best advice that I got even before I started everything in school was just be as, I guess, flexible as you possibly can, just as far as not trying to focus on one thing necessarily. I think that one of the reasons that I got hired at Sooner Scoop had a lot to do with because I could write, because I could work a camera, because I could edit video. So I would say not necessarily like backing yourself into one corner as far as what you want to do. And then I think that probably the other thing would be just be, as open as possible to doing as many different things as possible, whether that be writing for the school paper, getting involved in the television side, getting involved in the radio network. And now, obviously it was radio back then. Now it's more podcasting, like you guys are doing right now. I would just say don't limit yourself to anything just in general. Be open to go cover a women's basketball game or a soccer game, or, the women's golf tournament down the road over at Jimmy Austin. Don't try to, everybody wants to cover football when they get to Oklahoma. That's kind of a given. It's almost kind of one of those things that you have to work your way up the ladder to get to the quote unquote top as far as football goes. So be open to anything, kind of have an open mind as far as, everything that you go do is going to go into whether it's going to be a reel, on the TV side, or it's going to go into a portfolio that you can put together for a newspaper. Just kind of be open and kind of roll with the punches, I guess is probably the best way to say it. And, I think anywhere that you go to try and network as much as possible, meet Barry Trammell if he's at a football game, meet, whoever. It's kind of fun. It's like everybody that I met while I was in school at working for Oklahoma, I've become good friends with and now, consider colleagues. So I would just say keep your options open. I started school in broadcast journalism side of things, thinking that like I wanted to go work for ESPN. I wanted to work on the desk, basically be your sports center anchor. And, I think through various experiences, it kind of opened my eyes that there's really more than, one way to get into the sports business side of things or the sports media side of things. And, that kind of opens up a whole new avenue as far as what you want to go do, when you graduate or even when you're in school.
Yeah, thanks, man, for sharing kind of your story, your background there. We're going to transition maybe here to basketball with it's hard to say. Every game's huge for OU right now. They got 2 top 11 teams this week, but I've been pretty critical of Porter Moser, probably more so than anyone on this podcast. And, they don't seem to have a closer. We thought Sherfield might be the guy who could close games. Just if you had to pinpoint maybe, these late game collapses, and maybe not collapse isn't the best word, but just what would you maybe say credit that to? Or
Yeah, it's tough because they're trying to kind of develop an identity throughout the season in one of the toughest leagues in the country. Obviously, anytime that there just is no off night in the Big 12, and it's a hard way to kind of find yourself as a team when it's not been one thing, it's been another. Obviously coming off of the Baylor game, you give up 17 second chance points. It's hard to win a basketball game, especially against a top 25 team like Baylor. So, the offense has been, it's tough to watch. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. Grant Sherfield's kind of hit a little bit of a roadblock as far as, what he's been unable to do in the second half, obviously not scoring in the last 2 games up in Stillwater and then Saturday in Norman against Baylor. So, it's been rough because it feels like every time that they give themselves an opportunity. And I think that it's even more tough, more so just because they have been in every game in the second half. And, particularly in the last 4 or 5 minutes, you have a chance to get a big win each time. And they haven't been able to get over that hump. So it doesn't get any easier, obviously, with TCU coming up on Tuesday night and Bama coming in to Dan for the Big 12 SEC Challenge on Saturday. But, it's like Porter's obviously going to be catching a lot of the heat because he's the head coach. Last year was tough just because of the basically had a limited roster. You can turn things around through the transfer portal, but you can't drastically turn things over like they need to. So Tanner Groves has taken a step back this year. They don't have any big guys that can truly be game changers inside. And again, it's just when you're in the Big 12 and you're playing 5, 6, 7 teams that are in the top 25 and, probably arguably 4 or 5 of them that are in the top 15 or top 15 type teams. It makes the room for error that much smaller. And you kind of have to, you just have to find a way. I don't know if there's any other way to say it. And you look at the rest of their schedule right now, it's going to be tough to find a way right now. It seems like, obviously with, the haul that they have this week and 2 top 10 teams or top 10-ish teams, obviously. And it's just right now it's not working what they're doing. You love what they have in freshmen, though. I mean, I think everybody loves Otega Owe. He's going to be a really good player. Los Uzons showed some promise throughout the season as he continues to develop as a freshman. They like Benny behind the scenes at practice, but they have to be able to go out and find a big man in the portal. And that's kind of like finding a big defensive tackle, a 5-star defensive tackle in college football. I think everybody is trying to do that right now, is find a big 5 that can come in and rebound and obviously give you some points offensively. So I don't know. I wish I had the answer. I think Porter, we just talked to him. I wish he wishes he had the answer. It's a tough watch right now, though.
is Bama still? Is he going to get on the floor the rest of the year? You think, or
man, that's like the number one question. Like, and we've asked Porter, it seems like almost every week, as far as like what his development is, and not even development. It's just like, how's a guy that averaged 17 points at George Washington a year ago? Why can't he get into the rotation? And he says he's basically said all the right things. I don't know why he's not playing though. Like I think that is kind of one of the biggest question marks. It's easy to point to and say that maybe if he comes in, he could give them something athletically that they're not getting. Certainly be able to help from a guard position and come down and rebound. But then again, who are you going to take off the floor? So it's definitely a quandary right now as far as what is going on with Joe Bamisile. And I share my frustrations with you. I feel like if he was just out there and they were still losing, you could go, well, at least they tried. But it doesn't seem like that's in the cards right now. I don't know. It's really kind of weird.
Yeah.
Did Owe run over you the other day? Was that you sitting there, or was that another cameraman?
It was next to me. It was the guy next to me, and I don't think he
Oh,
was like
okay. I couldn't
he was like
tell.
the yeah, he was like the grip guy that was helping out with the like ESPN camera right underneath the basket, and like he did something to his shoulder. I felt really bad for the guy. He like went back up the tunnel and he came back and said he was okay. So I don't know if they like popped his shoulder back into place or what happened. That was scary though. That they don't pay me enough to separate my shoulder down on the baseline.
Yeah. What we can transition to football here for a second if you want to transition to football.
Sure.
But one question, we saw some numbers of some of the recruits with what they're already maybe putting up with some workouts and things, but a lot of young guys that maybe expected to play last year didn't. Talking about Canick and McKenzie, but just curious what your thoughts are. And I know the recruiting class, everything looks to be pointing up, and we love Brent Venables, just the culture thing that he's provided there. But maybe just a quick thought on the football program.
Yeah, it's I think last year was obviously very frustrating for a lot of people. I don't know if it makes you feel better or maybe even worse that 4 of the 5 games you lose on basically the final possession of the game. All the 1 possession games. I think that it's like, should you be frustrated by that, or should it be almost a little bit promising to know that you were that close in so many games? I think like a lot of people, I'm pretty confident that they're going to be able to get this thing turned around. There's obviously an influx of talent. You would expect the defense to be better in Brent's second year as far as just an overall product. You have to love what they were able to do in the recruiting realm of things, especially in the 2023 class with the number of guys that they're bringing in. And then obviously through the transfer portal with the guys that they've been able to bring in here over the last month and a half to 2 months since the end of the season. There's obviously a lot to like. It's just about kind of it coming together on Saturdays. And, I think that as much as everybody likes the atmosphere surrounding the program and everything that goes into the program, nobody's going to give a damn about, them turning men or, boys into men if it doesn't equal wins on Saturday, on the 12, 13 Saturdays that everybody gets to watch. So that's how everything's judged in college football, whether it be good or bad. It's going to be kind of fun to see how this recruiting class comes together. I think from just a talent perspective, just as far as what they brought in, I think that there's still a lot of promise. I think that if you were able to look through, even on the defensive side of the ball, as bad as they were at times last year, there were times where everything seemingly came together. It's just about getting off the field on third down. I think as a whole, Oklahoma fans are ready to, they're kind of tired about all the talk. You got to see some type of substance come out of that. Mm-hmm. And you just hope that kind of continues to progress. I think that there's a lot of things to like about Danny Stutzman. You just got to get more consistency out of him. And he's still a young player within the program. But him entering his second year as a full-time starter, I think he should take another step. I think obviously everybody's excited to see Jaron Canick come in and kind of take over the role that I think a lot of people thought he was kind of meant to play. Whether that be on the outside or more of the cheetah position. Deshaun McCulloch's going to be a guy from Indiana that, everybody's excited to see. Every guy that they brought in the portal, he fits a area that they needed help in. And I think that that's probably the most important thing is they're not just handing out offers, especially in the portal. You better be able to come in and contribute and play. And, there's almost kind of a purpose for each guy that they brought in. So even down to, somebody like a Reggie Pearson or even the punter that they brought in, I think that there's a specific reason they went out and sought those guys in the transfer portal. And then you just want to see the continued development of, a lot of guys that were in the program. And historically, in Brent's second year at all the stops that he's made, you've seen a drastic increase in production, a drastic increase, just in overall competency, I guess is probably one way to say it. So, I think that there's obviously a lot of reasons to think that things are going to continue to progress and move in the right direction. And you just kind of hope it all comes together because like you guys said, there's a lot of people that love Brent and, what he's brought, kind of a fresh air to the program and, everything he stands for. I think that that's all going to be good. If there's anything that you want to take out as far as like the 2023 recruiting class, or maybe even the portal and the wins that they were able to make, It's that there is a vision, there is a certain tone within the program right now that people are buying into, and for them to be able to close with the Peyton Bowens of the world, and even more so for me, for somebody that truly covers the recruiting side of things, for them to be able to get guys like a PJ Adebore or Jackson Arnold, or some of the guys that had been in the class for a while, to stick with the program even through a 6 and 7 season. That means a lot. I think that kind of shows that the vision that they are, pitching to recruits, or, selling to recruits, it's something that people can buy into. And, I don't know how much of that's going to mean if they can't turn it around on Saturdays, but I think that, in the interim right now, it does mean something that they're able to get those guys to buy into that vision and stick around and want to be a part of it. So, there's obvious steps that Oklahoma has to make on the football field. And, I think that kind of comes together with time.
Yeah, you talked about the transfer portal and how OU brought in a really nice haul of players, a lot of players that can come in and contribute in year one. Out of all those players, which one do you think will contribute the most in 2023?
It's a great question, because I think that they all will contribute in some facet. I would probably look at the defensive side of the ball, and, Rondell Boathride's a guy that can come in and be a kind of an all-conference type guy, the kid from Wake Forest, the defensive end. I think he's a guy that when you just look at his flat-out production with what he was able to do at Wake Forest over the last couple of years, there is a need for difference makers on the defensive line. I think that's pretty obvious. I would say that he's probably the one that sticks out of the four guys that they were able to bring in. And then Deshaun McCulloch is obviously a guy that physically, they don't make him like that. It's not supposed to look like that, as big as he is and as well as he's able to move. So I think he's a guy that, it's an obvious fit that he can come in and fit in the cheetah role, kind of a position that Deshaun White really started to kind of grasp at the end of last year. And those two guys are probably the two that kind of lead the pack as far as guys that from day one, you would expect them to come in and really, I don't want to say take over starting roles, because nothing's going to be handed to them, but I would be surprised if you look up at the end of spring ball and both of those guys kind of haven't solidified themselves as far as not just difference makers on the team, but guys that, really kind of grasp hold of what they are being asked to do within the defense.
Yeah, Eddie, this past season, you started the Make Lindsay Street Great Again campaign, and at one point you thought you won it when the signs went up. Are you going to come back next year with it, trying to take down the university on tailgating?
Absolutely. Unless the university has me displaced and put somewhere in Lake Thunderbird or something. No, it is something that has to be addressed. I think that it's something that, anybody that's come down to Oklahoma football games over the last 10, 20 years knows that I think the atmosphere could be better, and especially when you're making a move into the SEC where you are kind of shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of rabid fan bases. There's obviously a passion for Oklahoma football around here. I think that the day of game, or the game day setting could be much different along Lindsay Street or wherever in Norman. And, is it going to be the difference in winning and losing? No, probably not. But I think just from an aspect of, not being embarrassed about what people are walking into, and kind of having a pride about what the game day experience is in Norman. And I think that, over the last couple of years, it's probably taken a step back. I know that, obviously COVID affected things back in 2020, but at the same time, it's certainly something that can get better, in my opinion. And hopefully the powers that be, I've had multiple discussions with people about this, that it can be better at the end of the day. And I think that everybody's kind of on the same page. I just hope that, one day people can be able to tailgate back on Lindsay Street in kind of a manner that everybody was used to in the early 2000s or even late 2010s.
Amen.
Yeah, Eddie, I'm just curious how the pylon picture started.
I don't know. I really don't. I think that I just started doing it 3 or 4 years ago, and I just do it every game day now. It really is it's not meaningful to anybody but me, I guess. I just have always kind of liked the pylon pick and the the shots from around the various places. It's almost like a little, I guess, like a little journal to myself of the places that we've been over the last 10 years. So it just kind of started, and then I just started doing it, I think, out of habit. I think there was for a little bit, it was just kind of almost like a superstitious thing. Like I just did it and they kept winning football games. And now I just do it to do it. So like, there really isn't any moral or rhyme or reason. I just kind of do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, Eddie, do you ever think the conference schedule is going to come out at all for football? Because it seemed like the UCF athletic director said it was supposed to come out at the start of this month, and that was never true. It seems like we've been waiting forever.
I know. He teased everybody. Yes. Eventually, I would hope that they don't release it like week by week come September. They keep saying into January, but I got fooled with you guys. When the Central Florida athletic director came out and said that it was coming out last Tuesday, I think everybody was kind of preparing for it. And then it was like one of those things. It's like by 3:30, it was like, all right, I guess it's not going to be today. I do think that there's a little bit to the report as far as like Chip Brown coming out last week saying that it's Oklahoma that's holding everything up. I think that there is some resolution as far as what they want to do with the exit strategy for Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC. I would hope that it is eventually released in the end of January. I know that we need to start making travel arrangements. I think that it's for sure that Oklahoma and Texas will probably be on the road at 2 of the 4 new spots. I had heard Provo and I had heard Cincinnati for Oklahoma. I think that was kind of the internet rumor, at least, that was out there last week or the week before. I can't remember, but it's going to be interesting. Like I think that Oklahoma fans can just know that they're going to probably be signed up to go to 2 of the new 4 spots. It is going to be particularly interesting to see like who they don't play. Whether that be Iowa State or the 2 Kansas schools or Houston. I know that like Oklahoma had kind of been linked to those 4 schools, but then nothing came out. So I don't think anybody really knew what was going on. But I am going to be, I don't know, like I'm kind of split. I'm obviously excited about some of the SEC spots. But there are some like Big 12 spots that we've been going to over the last 10, 12 years, just from a coverage standpoint that I am going to miss a little bit. There's some uniqueness about them. But I am excited for the future and everything that's to come with the SEC. It's going to be really exciting.
Hey, Eddie, I see you're in your car right now. Is that the new Lexus?
It is. It is. Yeah, it is.
You like it?
The Hyundai Elantra we had to put her down a couple of weeks ago. She started smoking one morning when I got into the radio station. It was like, this is the sign. I don't want to blow up on the side of 35. So luckily the fine people at Eskridge kind of took care of me. I'm going to have to pick up a 3rd job for the monthly payments. But yeah, this is it.
I'm a teacher, so I get that for sure. Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, Eddie, you've mentioned game day atmospheres a lot. What game day atmosphere are you looking forward to the most in the SEC move?
Ooh. I mean, it's hard to beat LSU at night. I want to experience Baton Rouge at night just for the pure insanity that comes. I've had cousins go down there to LSU games that have told me it's just a whole different kind of atmosphere, world, continent, whatever you want to call it. Tennessee was pretty cool when Oklahoma went there in 2015. That was a really neat atmosphere to be a part of. I think that going back down to College Station eventually will be fun. I went down there a couple times when OU was still in the Big 12 or when they were still in the Big 12. I think just from a coverage standpoint, going down to the swamp is going to be pretty cool. I don't know about like in-stadium atmosphere, but Oxford is definitely a place that I want to go just from a Grove standpoint of seeing kind of what that whole scenery is all about. LSU is probably number 1. Tuscaloosa is going to be cool just because it's Tuscaloosa. I've heard Athens has a pretty cool bar scene that I'm excited to check out. But I would say night game in Baton Rouge would probably be number 1 as far as the list of places that I want to be able to go cover a game at. I think that'd be really cool to be down on the field for.
Yeah, when you caught the ball on the kickoff, were you mad you didn't get the special teams player of the week? Did you get snubbed?
Yeah, I got snubbed. That was like a top 5 most athletic thing that I've ever done. So, yeah, I felt a little snubbed. I felt a little snubbed by the Big 12, but I'm kind of used to people from Oklahoma being snubbed somewhat by the Big 12. So, I guess that was just the parting shot, if you will, to not get Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week. I announced it as myself, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more recognition from the league offices over in Arlington or Irving, wherever they're at nowadays.
Hey Eddie, how often do you get to play golf?
Probably not as much as I like. That's kind of like one of my. I'm not a big New Year's resolution guy, but that's kind of one of my New Year's resolutions, just as far as trying to get out more to the golf course. I have a lot of time, like during the weekdays. The problem with that is you can't find a whole lot of buddies to go play golf with during the afternoon. So hopefully gonna be getting out during the summer more and more. Things kind of slow down right now as far as football coverage. Obviously, basketball is only a couple times a week. So once the weather gets nice, the sticks will probably be getting out more and more here over the course of the next few months. It's kind of funny. It's like I don't really think about it, and then I start watching golf as the weather gets nicer and as the PGA Tour kind of starts ramping up. And I somehow keep looking over at my clubs more and more over the last couple of weeks, and I think I'm starting to get the itch a little bit.
Hey, LIV, fan or no? Live Tour, what are your thoughts?
Well, if Liv is listening right now, yeah, I'm a fan because I want to play in the Pro-Am come mid-May when they're up in Broken Arrow. But I wouldn't say I'm a fan per se. Like, I like Taylor Gooch, the Oklahoma kid. I like a bunch of the guys that are over there. I think I'm more like infatuated or fascinated by what it is and what it's going to turn into, kind of the storylines that come with it. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily like somebody that's going to be sitting around and watching it every day. It's more of like background music or background television. But, there are weeks where they're going to have good tournaments, quote unquote, and I will probably end up watching. It's fascinating what has happened with the PGA and Live, just as far as kind of them playing off of each other. And like, I'm super excited for the debut of the PGA Tour Netflix special. That's going to be something that I will definitely watch and take in. So I wouldn't say that I'm just a huge fan, but I am a fan of the sport of golf, and I'm kind of a sicko nut in that way that I'll watch any type of golf that's on television. So it probably just depends week to week if what the leaderboard looks like and kind of what they have to offer.
Hey Eddie, today I went out, got my bread. Okay.
Yeah.
Got big storm coming in.
Oh, sure.
I got your milk, Jackson. I just would like to know, this is your chance to make a weather prediction for us. Is this really going to happen?
Is it really going to happen? Yes. Is it going to be as bad as people probably think? I don't know. We talked about that this morning with Todd Lisenby, my radio partner. He's kind of convinced that the roads are going to be a little too warm. I think that we are going to get quite a bit of snow because there's a lot of precipitation in the air. Of course, I have to do a lot of running around tomorrow, so I hope that it's not, which means that it probably will be. Like the one day that I have to go do stuff, it's probably going to be bad all day. So I just, it's kind of like everything else that they throw out there. Stay vigilant. Know that they're coming after you. They want you to buy the bread. They want you to buy the dairy. Brahms is going to make a ton of money off of this that we're never going to be able to see. And it will be quite interesting to see what we actually get come Tuesday evening. I'm sure that Mike Morgan will be calling for like 4 feet of snow, though, and we'll probably get much less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie, you're a big Chicago Cubs fan. What are your thoughts on this offseason signing Dansby Swanson?
I'm excited about it. I think that like I got a little bit greedy. I wanted them to go get another big bat. But I love what they did up the middle, getting Dansby Swanson, getting Cody Bellinger, Hosmer over at first. He's going to be more of a platoon guy, I would hope, Matt Mervis, who was one of their MVPs in the farm system a year ago. I'm a little worried with the starting pitching. They need arms, but who doesn't need more arms right now? Overall, though, for a ownership group that seemingly does nothing, I was pretty pleased with how everything turned out. It's going to be kind of interesting to see what they do at the catcher position. It was tough to watch Wilson Contreras go, and especially to the Cardinals. But at the same time, I probably wasn't willing to give them the 5-year deal that the Cardinals gave them. So it's going to still be tough seeing him in Cardinal uniform, but it was probably time at the end of the day. And with what they were able to go do in the free agent market, they kind of bought me back in, which, I was probably going to be bought in anyway. So the joke's kind of on me.
Yeah, the most frustrating part for me with Contreras is like not getting anything for him.
Yeah.
Like you're just letting him walk. Like we had multiple opportunities past 2 years to get rid of him and never did it. So the Ricketts family, that's just how it's going to go.
Yeah, for them to be able to go out and get some of the guys that they did, I was pleased with it. It just, I wanted one more big bat. And I think that was, the market is what it is right now. I was pretty pleased though. You get Trey Mancini in there as well. That was a late ad. With some of the young arms that they have in the system, I'm borderline optimistic about what they did, and especially at the end of last season, they had a bunch of guys that could come in and strike people out. I just don't know how much of that was, are they playing against teams that kind of know where the Cubs are at right now in the standings? I don't want to say taking it lightly. It's kind of like almost like the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's like I'm ecstatic about what this thing is, but I'm also kind of leery as far as but they're playing teams that are resting a bunch of starters. So I think you can kind of be somewhere in between. Happy with where this thing is at. It's ahead of schedule, but also kind of keeping realistic expectations about what they are.
Yeah. Eddie, man, we are just thrilled that you're able to take some time. I know it's been 32 minutes or something here. We really appreciate it. We love listening to you. It's great to hear just how authentic you are and just how you present things. I think it's great, and people just really are drawn to that. So we just really appreciate you taking time here on the Sooner Surge to be with us, man.
Absolutely,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Anytime. If you guys ever need anything, good luck with the journalism, career path. It's stay patient because it doesn't happen overnight. But if there's any way that I can help, let me know. I'd be more than glad to.
Awesome.
Thanks, Eddie.
You bet, guys. Anytime.
Bring on the snow.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Peace.